imperfect players abound us.
Yes.
For instance, the Enchanter.
Oh,
Ooh.
look at you! I want to pick your brain on this.
Mutton
What?
chops.
Look
know,
at that!
It got the hair part wrong, that's all. Otherwise, I don't see a difference. It's like looking in a mirror.
You look
Yeah,
so.
there needs to be a giant hair part right in the front and down the middle.
Yeah,
It may just be an illusion.
Yes,
it
right.
might be. It
Yes.
could be. It'd be on theme.
I can't wait for this Enchanter rundown. I'm ready to learn about the Enchanter.
I've always wanted to play an Enchanter. I just couldn't do it.
You'd
Maybe
like
you
it.
can convince me. I'm eager to
Really?
hear. Tell us.
You'd like it. I know you, Lynx.
Tell us.
Enchanter. So what to say about the Enchanter, the class that everybody loves to have around and everybody hates to play? I shouldn't say that anymore because everybody likes him today. But versatility, very versatile class. What else can I say? You can do everything from stun to root to mez to nuke to all kinds of different things. You've even got a pet now that you can use as a temporary or even permanent tank, depending on how fast you are with summoning it.
Wow.
The skill ceiling on the Enchanter is very high. You could be the kind of guy that just likes to sit at the camp and do a mez every now and again when the pillar comes in. Or you could be the guy that's actually pulling for the camp. You could fill that role entirely as yourself. Some situations are more dangerous to pull in than others, particularly places like Hangor and Ash Breathers, much more difficult than places like Halmirs or Goblin Caves or Orcs even. But it is a very versatile class. All kinds of things are offered. You have lots of debuffs, lots of nukes, lots of buffs that you put onto your group, which aren't really provided from any other class. You know, there's a lot of overlap, as you guys know, between who can buff what. There's HP buffs from clerics and druids, and shamans can buff stamina, but only enchanters can buff mana regeneration. And we do provide a haste as well. At highest levels, it's a group buff that's 25% melee and spell haste together, and stacks with the shaman haste. So really bumps up those rogues and ranger DPSs to a much greater margin. And kind of moving over to solo ability, very, very powerful in solo now because of the pet. You can just kind of pick almost any mob you want. You can pick yellows, you could pick oranges, even if I could probably manage to solo group yellows in some situations. I don't imagine I'll be able to do this forever, but with some careful planning of debuffs and buffs, you can pump out a lot of damage very quickly as an enchanter. I'd go so far as to say you might even be fourth in rank behind wizard, summoner, and ranger for capabilities on damage. It's almost a 1 second cast nuke, and it does hundreds of damage. It's very powerful, no cooldown on it.
How do you feel the scaling is on the int for damage?
It's excellent. It's excellent. 1 point of int gives you a significant, noticeable amount of damage. It scales on not just your direct damage spell, but also your dot and your mana returning nuke as well. And it should be kind of worth mentioning that the mana returning nuke, the stab the mind line, allows you to return mana to your defensive target. So if your cleric is low on mana in your group, you can nuke the mob and return some mana to your cleric, allowing him to heal for a little bit more. Most of the time you want to just do it to yourself, or at least I do, because I don't have a direct mana regen like the cleric does, where they could just push a button and get 30% back. But we do have Mana Guzzle, which is a close substitute. You get about 30% of your mana back every 3 minutes from a mob, but it's a channeled ability, takes 10 seconds to go. So while you're soloing, it can lead to some downtime. It can lead to some imperfect encounters and stuff where you'll have to guzzle a mob. But overall, solo is pretty easy, but there is eventually going to be probably a few minute downtime when your cooldowns will be exhausted, when you just don't have a lot of mana left and you don't have a lot of health left. So that's a big deal when you're soloing, is that you can't regenerate health at all in any shape or form. It's just sit down and wait till your health comes back if you took a beating on something.
So you're saying that you're not afraid of light blue mobs that are solo anymore?
Not anymore. Not anymore. They're afraid of me. They run when they see me coming now.
I don't understand.
Used to be when I was afraid of green mobs.
What's the strongest mob type you've encountered? Group? Can you solo any group ones? Green?
Yeah, I could solo group mobs. I could solo like some of the Ash Breathers and stuff like that, the Cinder Wolves and Cinder Folk.
Really?
And stuff like that. Yeah, I could solo those
Wow.
Wow.
The pet's excruciatingly powerful, and if I just spam the direct damage, for base, for me, it does about 425 to 450 damage, 1 second cast over and over. The dot ticks for 200 plus, and the stab the mind I can crit all the way up to 800 plus with that. So I mean, it's
interesting
very-
that they would give you a dot as a measure, because wouldn't that conflict with sometimes you want to have a mob
Yeah.
mezzed and then you
it's
had
not
it
something
dotted?
that you can often keep prepared because of the value of the real estate of spell gems.
Oh, that
So,
too.
yeah, you have a lot of spells as an enchanter and a lot of abilities that you really got to budget and make sure that you've got them going right. I find myself very often, even in combat, just waiting for the mob to die to open my book, unmem something, and change the spell out because it's a
Nice.
cooldown.
Because you're an active enchanter, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the debuffs really that make the enchanter really shine in the group. Applying things after exposed, like physical or magical opening, is a 15% damage increase. Physical opening is 15% to rogue and ranger damage together, and that's very noticeable. As soon as that applies, you can see the mob just melt down.
Love
So,
it.
and I don't think it has really much to even be said about group ability. It's probably the most group engineered class in the game.
Oh yeah,
You're the
100%.
definitive crowd controller. You have some of the best buffs in the game. You can stun mobs for the longest period of time. It's exceptional. And one thing I will pro tip here on the Enchanter AE stun is that it isn't currently an unresistible stun. So you could be level 10 and you could stun yourself away from something that's level 30 and just run your butt off and you'll make it.
Wow.
Wow.
So get it a jail
Very
card.
powerful.
What about the other side of the coin? Say you're in the group setting and somebody breaks your mez. What are
Well,
some
the first
of
thing
the
I do is I get very irate on Discord. I yell at people a lot.
Well, you will call them to the task if they say, "Oh, I was just assisting," and then you'll look down the chat window and it's like, "Oh, Elwood broke the mez. with
Auto attack. Elwood.
auto attack."
Yeah, I try not to call people out when I'll just say that the mez got broken. Hey guys, let's just keep careful on this. But
Right.
sometimes, situations go bad and it's really nobody's fault. Like an Iron Will comes in. You can't mez that one. You can pet tank him, but if your pet's already occupied or it died already because it took a lot of AE, I mean, it's not a perfect situation. You can't bail your group out of every situation, but it really is, the Enchanter is overall that safety blanket. That
How do
has
you view the Enchanter as a pulling class?
It's excellent.
Whoa.
It's less so now in the Enclave because they do just such great amounts of damage that really you need the tanks to be able to just take those hits. Because, I mean, even Thunk, who has thousands of hit points, will drop down to 50% on a pull, whereas that would kill me. So it is a great puller, especially in the early days when you're hitting like the Goblin Caves, Wykin, the Orcs. There's no better puller. Monks are a close second, but enchanters are just, you can line them up like a conga line and just keep 3 mobs mezzed for your group and just pick one off, pick one off, pick one
3.
off.
I've seen this man lock down 8 and 9
Yeah,
in
sometimes
the
it's bad.
No,
it-
it's more
it-
than that.
in the trenches. I was witness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
In
9,
trenches, we
10
had a
maybe.
bad pull. I remember because I pulled it. I think I there's a blind corner that you can't tell how many you're gonna get, and I nuked the mob that I could see. I got 5 mobs,
Yeah.
and somebody was like low level or something like that, and they aggroed another group of like 7 mobs off to the side. Like,
Yeah.
that's not an exaggeration. There were 12 mobs in camp, and this guy right here
Yeah.
locked it all down.
I have,
That's
I have
AE
footage.
fun.
You have footage?
I recorded it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do have footage somewhere.
Better than you think you are.
Hey, sometimes even I get lucky. Even
Oh,
a blind
come on.
squirrel finds a nut.
Oh, please.
I draw
I don't
much of my
You
chanting
guys are way
power
too
from my
humble.
button.
Thank God me and Kensu think highly of ourselves.
Hey, I mean, Kensu's
Well,
a great
I'm
tank.
amazing.
Tanks
He's
are,
amazing.
he
Thunk is
tanks really
amazing.
well. You also are great support. You've supported me when I mess up.
Oh,
Hey,
oh,
we're all
I
blessed
can't wait
here
to
be
see
with
what
players.
you do with your ranger when you're up there in the 40s.
I
I'm
can't wait.
excited to be with you.
I can't wait. I can't.
Right,
Dice Up Imperials, Vale of Azirius. Check us out.
But
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious, Ray, because we're talking about groups. Do you need to still use your tank pet when you already have a group tank? Could you explain scenarios where it would come in
Sometimes,
handy?
yes. We find that in Ash Breathers, the damage is so overwhelming that sometimes the Enchanter pet will just help on healer mana for a short time. It also helps mitigate anything that is iron-willed. So you can't mez an iron-willed. If the tank pulls 2 iron-willed, what are you going to do? Sometimes you can't tank both if it's 2 Pyre Souls, for instance. So pet's a perfect place to just deploy that on.
Can you control what your pet's doing, though? Can you
Yeah.
call it back? And
You could call him back, but the taunt that he issues is not super usable. It's not an activatable ability on my end. Once I summon him, he immediately will taunt, and he'll pull it off of anything. It doesn't matter how much threat you have. He will always get it off of you. And then he seems to fire his taunt again at 15 seconds. So it's kind of a judgment kind of thing. You got to judge when you need to send him on something or whatever, or how fast you want to pull. He's got a 30-second duration, but a 30-second cooldown on the spell. So you can keep him up. It's just that he'll disappear as soon as he dies.
Okay, so let's say we're in a scenario where we have a great big pull. You're doing your CCs, you summon your pet, and it's on a mob that's casting something really annoying. And my instinct is to interrupt it. Typically, I would do that with an instant mez, my smoke bomb, for example. That puts it into a state of mez.
Yep.
That doesn't always help you because that will pull your pet off, right?
Correct.
It'll sort of reset it.
It'll reset the pets, and then he will not be able to taunt again for, say, another 10 seconds. So if the mez gets immediately broken, aggro's loose.
So pro tip for you guys out there, be careful what you want to try to help with because sometimes you're not always going to be helping.
Yep. And don't forget, sometimes Lynx and I have to coordinate together for the stuns because stuns cause rallied now. And you can chain them together. You can daisy chain. I have a 6-second stun as an enchanter. So when I'm getting at that 5-second mark, he'll pop his stun and just piggyback onto it. And it'll extend the stun to, 7, 8, 9 seconds. And then the rally comes up.
So do you think that really, those changes, do you think that really ups the difficulty of playing the Enchanter?
I think so. I think that the Enchanter is one of the more difficult classes. I mean, a lot of classes are hard. Tanks have a stressful job, healers have a stressful job, and control has a stressful job. It's a difficult class, but it doesn't have to be. If you want to be the guy that makes just the mez, that's just your job, that's fine. Most groups won't have a problem with that. Cast clarity, cast haste, mez a mob if there's an ad, and most of the time a group's going to be perfectly happy with that. But you can be the guy that pulls, you can be the guy that pet tanks and does a real lot of damage on top of it. So
is it difficult? This role to me
I'd say
sounds
yes.
difficult,
I'd
stressful,
say yes, it would be a
challenging.
difficult class. And the power level, I'd rank it at a high level of power.
Absolutely, especially in a group setting.
Yeah.
It's long-term been my belief since EverQuest 1 that there is no single class that is a catalyst for a group that like the Enchanter. Because it's like they can lock down extra mobs, they make medding faster, downtime gets reduced. It's just all-star class in groups, for sure.
And even in Pantheon, it's kind of accelerated even from what EverQuest offered because things like the debuffs for magical defense that reduces the mob's magic defense, makes you land spells at a lower level, increasing the damage done on things that are beyond just the dominating will from magical opening. There's a lot of things that you can weave in and out of your combat to improve all of your group mates. So it's a really high ceiling. It's a lot of difficulty, but it's a hugely fun class and very rewarding. So if you disagree, comment below. And yeah, if anybody has any extra thoughts they'd like to add in on any of their classes, I think now is kind of like the time we should explore that. Thanks. Kensu?
That's
Eddie?
interesting. Let me throw.
I always have something to say.
You always got something to say.
What kind of gear should you be looking for? I mean, I know you're kind of limited to the cloth. What stats should I be heavily into? I know the class is evolved and changing constantly. So Pantheon is still kind of tweaking here and there on all the what. Because I know at one time you were using a whole stamina build just to run around.
Yeah,
I think that was on your Enchanter, right?
it was. Now I go predominantly just intellect, and if I can get charisma where I can. I'm not sure how effective charisma quite is yet outside of making your mez land a little easier on yellow, orange, and red mobs. But mainly it's an intellect and haste based class. You want to be able to cast quickly, you want to be able to hit hard, and you want to have a lot of mana pool. Stamina is also a good tertiary stat to have because you can just take those hits from when Mez breaks, from when you're pulling, from when you get hit by some kind of CC yourself. You want those hit points. Hit points aren't a bad idea to have for any class.
What stat influences your accuracy as a caster? Because I'm not familiar with how spells land versus how physical land. Is it still dex?
Well, so it's magical defense as far as the mobs end, but there is a hit
Oh.
rating on casters that I believe is associated with Constitution.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to ask a question to Lynx, if I may.
I'm all ears.
What are you going with currently? Are you going with a poison-based bleed or a blood-based bleed, which the bleeds are a little bit different on the rogue?
Believe it or not, I actually run both.
You're running both. Look at you.
I'm doing 6 forms of bleed poison. I apply 2 poisons, and then I apply 3 more physical bleeds. And then if you count my elixir, my 1 form of healing that actually has to be triggered, that's a 3rd poison. So in total, it ends up being 6, and that's pretty much how I contribute my DPS between my auto attacks. Because God forbid these changes that were made to how we build readiness, I can no longer just spam my auto attacks and rely on quick attacks to build up my resources to spam my rotation. I use 5 out of 6 in my opener, and then I am exhausted in readiness, and I have to sit and wait.
This is the most annoying part for him, that he actually has to not do anything.
So that's where I would start doing the whole extra by sprinting out while waiting for that extra
auto attack,
2,000 readiness to regenerate naturally. All I have is auto attacks and procs. So why not auto attack, dagger, step out while my dagger's on cooldown, bow shot, hope for a proc off my poison. I hope that stays in the game. Sprint back in for my weapons to be off auto attack, gauge my readiness, keep my poisons, keep my stuff, watch what's going on around me, pay attention if I need to stealth out, get out of combat, drop a trap, mez a mob, pull off a mob, just keep active. So,
and my question to Thunk, since the Paladin was OP before the last patch or so, you stuck with it. What was the biggest difference that they did in the Paladin to make him not as OP as he was? Because I'm not familiar with the class. I have no idea why these guys were pulling 6-7 Chevron mobs at a time and killing them. I used to follow them around just for experience. So
it was twofold. So they broke up the stats. So you couldn't just stack wisdom and have all the healing and all the DPS that you could possibly want. And they also moved dexterity, the hit rating off of dexterity over to constitution. So I literally had to re-gear everything except for 1 slot on my paladin when they nerfed it, and then a week later I had to re-gear my entire paladin again.
I remember.
And I was a little frustrated, and I can see how a lot of the other paladins would have just given up and quit. And I think that definitely happened.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
I was fortunate to I had enough resources that I could I could make a 2nd set of jewelry and then make a 3rd set of jewelry. I hoard stuff. So I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. And I'm also a crafter, so I was able to recraft from wisdom gear over to dexterity gear, because that's what the interim was. We had to stack dexterity, and then dexterity became absolutely worthless in my opinion. You can stack it if you're just raw DPSing, but it's really not ideal in my opinion.
I'm glad you stuck with it though.
Yeah,
I enjoy the class. I still love the kit. The kit is amazing, and I think even though the Dire Lords can tank a single target better, I still feel like the Paladin is the superior tank.
Yeah,
because of
their
ocean
snap
abilities.
threat on the Dire Lord. That's where the Paladin really shines on top of him, because you can't get a mob off of me after 6 mezzes as a Dire Lord. It's just he can never do it. It'll never happen.
Yeah.
So I got a question for Rake then.
Uh-oh.
If and when they introduce charm, how much of an impact do you think it'll have on your gameplay style?
Oh my god.
How often you choose to group? How often you choose to solo? Do you think you'll even have room for it on your bar? How are you going to prioritize it?
Oh, I know what's going to happen. I'll interject after your answers.
I'm super
Okay.
curious.
I hope it doesn't completely redefine the whole class. I hope it doesn't end up becoming either the greatest thing that's ever happened, or not, and I also alternatively hope it isn't the worst thing ever, where you're like, what is this? We waited so long and it ends up being this total piece of junk. But what I envision it as being is something where it takes a mob and it's going to scale it down to the power level of something like a necropet. And that's how
Yeah.
I see it happening.
So even if they do that, charm is still going to be an amazingly powerful tool.
Yes, for
It's
crowd control.
Yes, it's in an incredibly difficult ability to balance.
It
And
is.
they have already stated that they're going to have like a regular charm like they had in EQ. And they are also going to have like a dire charm where
Yep.
you can just charm something permanently and not have to worry about it.
Yep. That's the one
So-
I see scaling down a little bit. And I also see charm itself. It might be something like a very limited duration, like a 15 to 30-second duration, where it's really just meant to charm something that on a pack of 5 mobs or something. And it's just meant to like save your group for a short term. You know, that's kind of in my head where I'm seeing VR going with it. But
you actually just triggered a really interesting thought. What if they had like a 1 hour cooldown? They call it like mash charm, or it can charm up to 5 targets, and just be like, oh crap, we pulled 12 mobs, mash charm, grab those 5 and send them over
my
there,
beer.
extract those.
Right.
Like,
Wow.
how cool of an ability would that be? It'd be like,
That'd be great. That'd be a really fun one.
I just hope they don't neuter something else in your class and add charm. Like, so, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
It doesn't have to be all powerful, but it'll be a nice feature, and they keep the rest of your kit intact right now. Because now the Enchanter to me is where it should be. Again,
I agree, but I'm sure they're going to neuter me or hurt me in some way. That's going to happen.
poor Rake. You could catch him on the forums in the old.
it's just the Enchanter way, man. It's just like,
Well-
hurt me, daddy, you know.
Enchanter
Yep.
life.
Yeah. Well, I had that problem. Then I changed to a monk, and then
Right. And
and then what happened to monks?
No, we don't want to talk about that.
We don't talk about monks.
They're
But
still
people playing
training.
them going back to the earlier point about people quitting a class because it got changed and it's not as powerful.
Yeah.
To me, that's just nonsense, because you kind of like, these characters are a little bit of extension of ourselves. So you get into it, or like in Thunk's case, he likes the kit. You still got the same basic kit. You may have to re-gear and retool, but people who just playing it because it's just you can run, rampant throughout the world, to me, they're really not, again, real players or lovers of this game. I mean, that's my judge and jury on it. But everybody has their choices. You can play or not play, but all of us have stuck with it since day one. I mean, we've been here.
Yep. And if you disagree with Eddie's assessment, which is usually generally good words of wisdom, comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Hey, maybe you guys could tell us about what classes you play and what challenges you've had leveling your classes.
Yeah.
Are you into alts? Do you prefer solo? Do you prefer groups? Are you worried about being
No. We confirmed alts are not the way to go. Let's not get violent.
Yeah, let's not have an altercation like last episode.
An
Oh no,
altercation-
I'm going to start an altercation right now. Ank, Paladin to the superior tank, man.
Oh
Get
no!
over it, man.
Okay, hold on.
Oh.
I just want to say this. You can't spell altercation without alt.
Oh wow!
an altercation.
And if you guys have any suggestions for a ranger, again, I've never pretended to know it all. I'm more of a social animal than a high skill game player. Let me know how I can play the ranger better. We want to see your comments.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe. Let us know below. Thank you for watching.